Long before Europe's sails reached African shores, a different kind of civilization was already thriving, stretching along the warm edge of the Indian Ocean, from Somalia in the north to Mozambique in the south. This was the Swahili coast, Africa's maritime frontier, a world where the ocean was not a barrier, but a bridge. The story of the Swahili people begins over 1,000 years ago. They were not a single tribe or kingdom, but a mosaic of African communities, Bantu-speaking peoples who lived along the East African shore. They farmed the land, fished the reefs, and built homes from coral stone and mangrove timber. Over generations, they turned toward the sea, learning the winds, the tides, and the rhythm of the monsoon. When the northeast wind blew, they sailed their dhows north toward Arabia and Persia. When the southwest wind returned, they came home with goods, ideas, and stories from distant worlds. By the 10th century, the Swahili had become masters of maritime trade. Their cities, Kilwa, Mombasa, Zanzibar, Lamu, and Sofala, were shining ports of wealth and culture. They traded ivory, gold, ambergris, tortoiseshell, and fine African wood, exchanging them for silk, porcelain, and spices from across the sea. Swahili merchants built coral stone houses with carved wooden doors and streets that smelled of cloves and sea salt. Their towns hummed with the sounds of markets, prayer, and poetry. The Swahili were not isolated. They were the center of a global network, connecting Africa with Arabia, Persia, India, and even China. Sailors from Oman and Gujarat docked beside local dhows, and together they built a cosmopolitan world where languages, faiths, and customs blended. From this exchange came the Swahili language, a melodic tongue rooted in Bantu, enriched by Arabic and Persian words, and carried today by over 200 million people. Islam became the spiritual compass of Swahili life. Arab traders and teachers brought the message of the Quran, and African converts embraced it as their own. Mosques rose beside coral palaces, their minarets calling the faithful above the sound of the surf. But Islam here took on a distinctly African soul. It lived in harmony with old traditions, in music, in art, and in the rhythm of community. Faith did not erase identity, it refined it. The Swahili people built more than cities, they built connections. They were Africa's first navigators of globalization, long before that word was ever spoken. Their dhows carried not only goods, but ideas, architecture, astronomy, and language. They mapped the monsoon winds centuries before the compass reached Europe. Their scholars wrote in Arabic and Ajami script, recording trade agreements, family histories, and verses of devotion. Their poets sang of love, honor, and destiny, lines still recited in Swahili classrooms today. In the 15th century, Portuguese ships appeared on the horizon, drawn by greed for gold and spice. They attacked, divided, and conquered, burning cities like Kilwa and Mombasa. But they could not destroy the spirit of a people whose civilization was built on faith, not fear. The Swahili rebuilt again and again, their coral walls rising like reefs after a storm. Centuries passed, empires fell, and borders shifted, but the Swahili endured. Their language became the heartbeat of East Africa, spoken from the islands of Zanzibar to the hills of the Congo. Today, Swahili is more than a language. It is a symbol of unity, identity, and cultural brilliance. Its words echo across classrooms, mosques, music, and film. It speaks of a people who turned the ocean into opportunity and whose legacy still shapes nations. The Swahili were Africa's ocean voyagers, traders, poets, and builders of bridges across worlds. Their story reminds us that Africa was never isolated, never silent, never waiting to be discovered. It was always sailing, carried by winds of knowledge, faith, and imagination. From the roots of history to the dreams of tomorrow, the tide of the Swahili still flows.